Republican New York Congresswoman Elise, chair of the House Republican Conference. The fourth highest ranking House Republican is here with us. Thanks indeed for being with us, Congresswoman. What did you make of the debate there and J.D. Vance's performance?
This was an overwhelming, dominating performance by J.D. Vance at a vice presidential debate. I think he very effectively spoke to the American people. He told his personal story, which was growing up in very challenging circumstances, and yet here he is as the nominee for vice president who's lived the American dream and achieved so much and is raising a beautiful family. And then importantly, he talked about the issues that matter to voters across this country: the illegal immigration crisis, the border crisis, the inflation crisis, and how those are a direct result of Kamala Harris's failed policies.
We just listened to a little of the exchange on immigration, which was one of the sparkier points during the night. And in fact, they kept returning to the issue of immigration when discussing other matters as well, like housing and so on. And it was put to J.D. Vance by Tim Walz that actually it was Donald Trump and the Republicans who had slowed down fixing that situation at the border in blocking that bill that came through the House earlier this year.
Well, certainly that is not the case. When you look at the executive actions that Joe Biden took on his first day in office with Kamala Harris as his open borders are, there were 94 executive actions that wiped away the effective border security policies under President Donald J. Trump. We had the most secure border under President Trump. The reason why we have this mass illegal migrant crisis right now is because of Kamala Harris's role as Joe Biden's open borders are and those executive actions that have been taken. Just with the stroke of a pen, Joe Biden, with the support of Kamala Harris, could address this illegal crisis, and they have not done so. And I think a really important point in one of the segments on the border crisis and the illegal immigration crisis was they were talking about the issue of minors. And importantly, J.D. Vance, which the New York Times has reported, it's been reported extensively, it's under Kamala Harris's watch that over 300,000 minors have been lost by the Biden-Harris administration's Department of Homeland Security, lost into sex trafficking. They do not know where these minors are. That is a humanitarian disaster, and it's because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's failures.
Speaking of minors, another issue they discussed was the issue of gun control, the issue of school shooting, and when they were debating that, J.D. Vance said that the answer was to put better locks on the doors, make better, stronger windows and stronger doors, that there was nothing that could be done about the guns. Is that an answer that will be welcomed by parents?
It is an answer. Parents overwhelmingly support school resource officers, which are law enforcement officers in our school districts.
Making the doors and windows tougher.
Absolutely. Parents overwhelmingly support making sure that our schools are secure. J.D. Vance also talked about the importance of increasing support for mental health crises, which is at an epidemic level among young people and among society today. So clearly that is an issue that we have to tackle as well and really address the root causes of this lack of mental health. But school resource officers, this is an issue that whether you're in a rural, suburban, or urban district, overwhelmingly parents and families and communities support that. I can speak to it from my district. Every county sheriff, whether it's Republican or Democrat, supports school resource officers because the community supports school resource officers.
Now, the debate began the first question about the big global issue of today, the situation in Israel, the 181 rockets launched from Iran into Israel, and both men were asked, would they support Israel if Israel came to the US saying it would do a preemptive strike into Iran? And J.D. Vance didn't answer that question.
Certainly, President Trump has a crystal clear record of standing side by side with Israel. It's important to take a step back, and President Trump communicated that today with his statement that we would have never been in this situation under President Trump's leadership. You have a result of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's appeasement of Iran, giving over $100 billion to prop up the Iranian regime, which has funded Hamas and Hezbollah and the very hypersonic ballistic missiles that were launched into Israel today. So it's a direct result of the failed foreign policy, and certainly President Trump is going to bring peace through strength to the Oval Office, as he did during his first 4 years. And the peace we had specifically in the Middle East, that was historic under President Trump. The Abraham Accords, the first normalization between Israel and Arab countries in over 50 years, was an extraordinary achievement. That's why this weak foreign policy has had such a tremendously negative impact.